Okay, welcome back to another episode with Matthew Muskeen and
Simon Pellant doing a little
hey.
double joint podcast action here. This is going to be on my podcast, it's going to be on your podcast. We'll see what kind of connections it'll create with our varying audiences.
Yeah, so why don't we just briefly so that we can introduce each other to each other's audiences. Um,
Sure.
you're someone that I met at Nirvana Strength Bali, which is a wonderful facility here in Bali. You and I are both Canadian boys and share similar friend groups actually back in Canada
Yeah.
without even meeting each other before. But your story is pretty cool. I love hearing your story. For the listeners on my end, do you want to just give a brief story of like how did you get to where you are right now?
Oh yeah, as brief as it could be. Like,
Sure.
how did
I
I get to
mean,
be folks in Bali?
yeah. I mean, like just because like people are tuning into you for the first time, so why don't you give a little bit of foundation before we get into a little deeper story?
Sure. Sure. I was a university athlete and I was there to play basketball. I didn't give a shit about school and I was trying to learn something. And then I saw my friend teaching fitness and learning about the body. And I was like, okay, I'm going to learn about that. Became a kinesiologist, did that for a while, opened up a gym with a business partner, didn't want to teach people about movement anymore.
In Vancouver, right?
In Vancouver,
Yeah.
went on a bunch of retreats and got a bunch of different coaches and was inspired by them to leave all that behind and move to Bali and become a relationship coach. And that's the short version of what I do now.
That's awesome, man. And I'm definitely gonna unpack you uh, after I introduce myself too as well, because you got a lot of great insights in that journey. For
Right
your
back in.
listeners here, how did I get to where I am today? Well, yeah, same sort of thing. Went to school as an engineer, civil engineering. I don't even know if you know that, Simon, but
I didn't know that.
yeah, I went there. Completely did not like it. I looked at my timetable and I was like, "Where's the PE class?" I was like, "There's no fun classes on my schedule." Um, so went on a quest to basically understand self. So I opened up a float center sensory deprivation tank in Vancouver. Created myself basically to be a janitor. So I was partly on to my passion, which is I wanted to help people, but I didn't know in what capacity. And so I developed a coping mechanism and I constantly escaped going into following that passion and just dove into myself, which has brought me on a beautiful journey to Bali. I actually got here by doing a yoga class in Las Vegas. I got a vision in Las Vegas and followed that vision and wanted to learn about yoga, wanted to learn about actually tantra. And so I came to Bali and then came here. And I've traveled the world from Canada back and forth 10 times. And I was constantly looking for like the epic spot for myself, which entailed like beach, waves, high performers, good vibes. And I landed here in Bali. And I'm at the beginning phases of my development on my digital career, which is really exciting. And I've been able to get a lot of insights from Simon. So that's the shortened version of me.
Yeah, that's what kind of brings us here, right? We're both on a coaching path and we're both interested in personal development and helping people and learning how the best way is that we can do that and sharing ideas. And that's kind of what has us be on this podcast together.
Yeah. So, Simon, you mentioned you started up a gym and how long did you do that for? And like, what was the change? What was the shift? Because I wonder if our realizations, because we were in similar crowds, just didn't cross each other back then. I wasn't at
Yeah.
your vibration. I was too low. I was in the
Maybe
tank
it's
getting
the
in there.
opposite. Maybe it's the opposite, my
No,
friend.
I know. But I wondered if something happened inside you because you had a brick and mortar facility just like I did. And what was that like inside your mind? Like what happened to make you be like
Yeah, well,
something's
like
different?
for anyone who's in the health industry, they could probably relate to the fact that you kind of go through these steps. Okay, now you first you're a personal trainer, and then you want to get clients, and then you get clients, and maybe you're working at a gym, and then you decide to go on your own because you can do so much more when you're on your own and earn a much better living. And then the next logical step is to open a gym. That's just kind of what you assume you do. And so many of my friends who are personal trainers, that was the same path. So I was fortunate enough to have a client actually. We had an amazing relationship. She was also coaching me in business, and I was her personal trainer. And she knew someone who wanted to open a gym, had the capital, had the vision, but not the technical side, which is what I had. And I had the passion and the energy. So she brought us together and we designed this thing, and it was a super cool thing. Like, it was called the Practice Studio. It was focused on meditation, nutrition, fitness, and lifestyle coaching, all this like all-encompassing thing. We started that in like the summer of 2018 and loved it. We grew the business by, she already had a gym. It wasn't going so well. And it was like, can we come in and rebrand and build this thing? And, we grew it in 5 months by like 280%.
Whoa, that's pretty good for a brick and mortar. That's really
It was
good.
amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. Like quadrupled the income of the place in such a short time. And we were loving it. And it was fun. And there was amazing community going on. And then I began my interest in retreats. Thanks to my roommate at the time, he was like, man, you're into personal development. You got to check out this thing. It's called the Unconventional Life Retreat. It's in South Africa, or it's in Nicaragua.
Yeah.
It was the first that I went to. And it was like a lot of money for, like, to me, personal development was, I'll, buy a book or spend a couple $100 here.
Go to a Man Talks in Vancouver.
I never went to one, but I actually, I've met people who know Connor. My roommate was the guy who was the mediator for the Man Talks.
Gotcha.
Yeah. He was actually the mediator when it was Gary V.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
For those who don't know, Man Talks is this cool movement this guy created, coaching programs for men, which I think is phenomenal and needed for so many of us. But yeah, so he's like, you got to go to this retreat, and it cost $6,000.
Whoa, okay. Not playing around.
It was for 5 days.
Wow.
And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, what is worth that? Because for me, that was like way more than I've ever spent on personal development. And it's kind of ironic. I look back now and think about what we spend on university.
Yes.
Which is just like, of course I will spend $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 in university. For what? Not really sure, but it seems like a good idea. Versus going to this retreat, which was full of extraordinary people. You had to practically audition to get to go. So you couldn't just buy a ticket. She vets everybody, the person who creates this retreat. And there was a former NBA champion there.
Wow.
Ronnie Turnoff was there, for anybody who's an NBA fan. He played with Kobe Bryant and LeBron James. Like, people who've have millions of followers on YouTube were there. Like, people who have these incredible businesses. And some of these people, I learned like what it was worth to me. That retreat was spent about $5,000 on it. It was worth at least 50.
No kidding. That's so cool to hear.
But it was this thing that most people even feel when they're investing in coaching with me. It's like, do I take the leap? This is a lot of money. Like, I don't know exactly what's going to come of it. I got an idea, and this is where investing in yourself, like, you never lose. You never lose when you invest in yourself. But anyways, you're asking me, like, how did this shift? So I started doing these retreats, and I went to another one in South Africa 6 months later. The gym was 6 months after. The same thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Went again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same price point, same kind of retreat, different people, but same leader, same kind of thing. And it was in a safari. I always wanted to go to South Africa because my dad was born there, and there was going to see rhinos and giraffes and all this shit. Is like epic. So we go there, and there's this moment where we're sitting in a mansion on the side of Table Mountain in Cape Town, and I'm asking everybody what they're up to. And they all had such interesting answers. You know, one person was, I'm going to Zimbabwe. One person was, I'm going to go do Africa burn. Didn't even know what that was, but it sounded cool. Another person was closing $1 million deal in their pajamas on the phone. And I was like, I'm going to go back and work at a gym for 12 hours a day. With the idea that in a few years we'll have multiple locations and it's 6 days a week and I'm going to give my heart and soul to this thing. And I was like, there's got to be another way, you know? And it wasn't that I didn't love what I was doing. I just realized there was something else. Mm-hmm. And so as soon as I came back, my passion for it shifted. And I was like, there's something else here for me that's going to make a bigger impact. And then it was like, okay. And then a month later, I let my business partner know I no longer want to be your gym owner. And then was the beginning of the shit. I didn't even know what was next, but I knew that wasn't it.
Yeah. And then do you, part of like, I can remember talking to you in the hot tub of Nirvana, and like from that transition, it's like you to now enter to the digital world. I talked to the listeners about your copywriting experience, if you feel like sharing.
Oh, fuck.
It's great.
So at that point, it was like, hey, I like these people. They're working online. They're traveling the world. How do I do that? That was the baseline.
Sure.
I want to travel and work online. And then I was like, well, I guess I could coach personal training online. That was the first step. It's like logical progression. So then I signed up for another coaching program, dropped 3K on that. And that was coaching me on, how to build clientele through coaching online.
Yeah. And
that didn't last very long. I think I got 10 clients in that. And I could tell that like my love and passion for fitness was disappearing.
Okay.
So
but like, you could have been successful in that if you pursued it?
Maybe. I'm not very good at pursuing things I'm not passionate about.
Fair enough.
It was like I could make something of it. Maybe I could make a living doing it, but not when I'm not passionate, because when I'm not excited about something, I procrastinate like crazy. Like I just didn't take the steps. But it gave me a template for coaching people online.
Gotcha.
That was the step. It was like, okay, there's something here. Now I have some of the details of like, well, how do you actually do it? What are the nuts and bolts? Then I did another retreat with the same group in Bali, which is where you and I both live now. And that was the holy shit, I got to be here. Like, don't know how, pull the trigger, figure it out. At this point, I was in a bunch of debt, but I knew this was the step, and it was like, okay, let's go. And sorry, just to pause you there. I'm curious. At that retreat, was it, because like I think this is something that potentially the listeners could relate to, at least for me, for sure. When you were there around those high performers, it doesn't sound like you had anything really sorted. So how was that for you, being around all these people that are like, oh, I do this, and I do this, and it's exactly like they're airtight with their delivery and what they do. Where were you in that, and how was that to relate to people? Yeah, well, sometimes it was intimidating, right? These people seemed like they were so far ahead of me. And then some of the ages of them too, they were like in their mid-20s and they were like making 6 figures working online. And I was like, Jesus Christ, I got a long way to go, But then there was also people who were right in the same boat as me, or people who were like super confused about what was next too. So I was trying to like pay attention to myself more than anything, rather than what other people were doing, and then like try to get connected to whatever people I admired there. But I had a tough time, sorting through who was my people and who wasn't. That was actually challenging, especially because like when you go to things like this, I mean, one part of it's to learn. The other part is some people kind of like, I think, are so scared of being the imposter that they really brag about themselves. Oh. Like people really talk a big game, like I'm meant to be here. And then I found out later that some of these people were just full of it. Wow. Like they weren't actually telling the truth. They were just scared to say, I don't know what's next. Yeah. And you developed 3 questions actually. And I want to write those down. I remember we talked about this and I'm like, I actually want to know these questions. So what were those questions that you asked to discern
Who was what? I'm gonna write them down right now.
Yeah. So so the very first night of that retreat, I mean, there was 105 people at this retreat and we had 5 days. So it was like, how the heck do you make the most of networking with this many people in such a short amount of time? Well, at the dinner breaks and the lunch breaks, you mingle. I'm going to sit here for 15 minutes. I'm going to sit there for 15 minutes. So at the first dinner break, I go and sit next to this guy and we start talking. And I'm a tall guy. I'm 6'6". So people immediately assume I'm an athlete. And usually they start talking to me about basketball or something to do with that. And so it's a obvious topic. And so we start talking about sports and I'm telling him my background in basketball. And he says, oh, I was an athlete too. And I was like, no kidding. That's really cool. What did you do? And he was like, I was a gymnast. I said, wow, that's amazing. Like gymnasts are superhuman. Like they are freaks to be able to do what you did. That's really impressive. And then I said, well, how far did you go with it? Because I'm always interested, like what level people competed at. Because to me, it demonstrates like their level of dedication and also skill. And he's like, well, you know, I took it really seriously. I was really committed. And then when I was 12, I got hurt. And I stopped after that. And I had this kind of like the air got sucked out of the room moment.
Yeah.
Where I was like, oh, and I started to think, I think me and you are talking about different things, you know? And because I had the experience of being a 5-year university basketball player. Like I've done the 10,000 hours in something, you know, and it sounds like he did about 50. And so I started to realize, oh shit, if I don't qualify who I'm talking to, I'm going to end up in some long conversations that are not mutually of the same understanding. So after that dinner, I went to my friend Nick, and me and Nick had been in a few retreats together. So we had some rapport and some connection, and she had the same experience. She was like, man, some people here are talking a big game, but if you peel behind the layers, some of them are just don't know what they're doing, but they're totally clueless, but maybe they're scared to admit it. And you want to know, right? You want to be like, hey, what are you up to? And someone's like, well, I'm a CEO of, you know, Simon Pelland International. It's like, what does that mean? Well, I have a Facebook page. Okay, that doesn't mean anything. No, but if you're like, I'm a CEO, and it's like, and we make $100 million a year, and we've got 5,000 employees. It's like, those are two different people. Those people have different experiences. So we had these questions. We were like, we got to come up with a faster way to discern who's our people, you know? And it wasn't like I was trying to like be better than anyone else. It was like, let's find someone. I want to learn from people. I really want to learn from people. And so the first question we would ask, and me and her came up with this together, was, what do you want to do? Like, what's the impact you want to make? And how will you measure it? So that was like a 1A and B kind of question. What do you want to do and how will you measure it? Because most people at these retreats knew what they wanted to do. I think most people do know what they want to do. They don't know how to measure it. Because we found this common thing. Almost everybody at these retreats would be like, I want to change the world. I want to make a difference. It's like, what does that mean? What are you talking about? And so we're like, how do you measure it? Then you actually quantify, like, how deeply have they thought about this? If you want to make on the mark on the world, what is your mark? You know, and for me in coaching, my mark was, I want to work with 30 people. That's a measurable thing, right? If you want to change the world, it's like, what does that mean? You're going to pick up some trash today, and that's your version of changing the world. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But we might be talking about two different things. That was the first part. Second question was, tell me about your dream day, your perfect day. And this one was to kind of get to know people, like, what are they interested in? Like, what do they really like? You know, and so I would measure the success of this question based off of the detail that someone shared. Because if someone said, well, I'm walking on a beach and there's a beautiful sunset, I was like, well, yeah, no shit. Like, who doesn't like a beautiful sunset? But like, really, what do you really care about? And so what I was looking for to see was, is someone really connected to what they like? Let's say you're walking on a beach in a sunset. What are you holding in your hand? Are you drinking something that's your favorite drink? Are you walking with a particular person? You know, is it a specific beach? You know, is your favorite animal like with you? Like, what is it? You know, and so the detail to me really demonstrated how well people thought about that. The last question which is, I think, the most revealing, which is tell me something vulnerable about yourself.
Ooh.
And it was like, if you can't cheat this one. And the key distinguisher here is whenever someone says something vulnerable about themselves, it isn't something that makes them look good. It's not self-complimentary or self-aggrandizing. Aggrandizing, is that the word? Like, it doesn't boost you up. It's kind of like, oh shit, I don't want people to know this. And so when we would ask this, sometimes people would say something that somehow made them look good. Like, yeah, I'm really struggling to be a millionaire. It's like, what? Like, what are you talking about? You know? I'm having trouble picking. I'm sleeping with so many women. I'm having trouble picking like who I want to be my girlfriend. It's like, yeah, that's not vulnerable, dude. That's you trying to sound like you're sleeping with a lot of people, which you think makes you sound cool. So that helped a lot.
And then on top of that, what you did, which I thought was also cool at that event, is like you were talking about, it was Nick. Is it Nick or Nikki?
Nick.
Like tag teaming the event, because there's so many people to work through. So that was something that I took from you in that as well, is like, if I go to, or when I go to a retreat, or even if I host, like to tag team it with someone and just cover more ground.
Yeah, you're not going to meet everybody. And so we were just like, let us know. Like, we both went, and then we check in at the end of the day and be like, how'd it go for you? Like, who should I talk to? And then she'd be like, oh, George over there, you and him are going to hit it off. And I'd be like, oh, you got to meet, Steph, whatever it is. And suddenly you're like, oh, okay. And then, oh, thank you for introducing me to that person. We just like had an hour-long conversation that blew my mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was like that quality.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was, that's really good, because when you're on a time frame of like 3 days, you got 105 people to kind of chat through. I think it's a really good strategy for networking.
You start to realize how much fluff there is, like how much fluff we all talk. Like, there's just like, how you doing? What do you do for a living? Like, this is like the most boring questions ever. How you doing? What do you do for a living? Where are you from?
Yeah.
Those are like the lowest, like you can guess all the answers to that. And there's no uniqueness about that. And you're like, tell me about your perfect day. Tell me something vulnerable yourself. How are you going to measure the impact that you want to make? It's like you instantly get an insight into someone's world in 2 minutes. But also, I think the challenging part with stuff like that is people are like, that sounds weird. Because it is weird. It's different.
Yes.
How you doing is not weird. How you doing is normal. It's also not going to lead to really anything extraordinary.
That's so cool. And so then from that retreat, I think it's cool for your audience too. I don't know if they know this about you, but like, talk to us. Then you went into copywriting. Was that the thing? Or?
Oh my God. So then it was like, got to live in Bali. Stayed 2 months longer. Then it was like, dude, you're paying rent in Vancouver. You better figure something out pretty soon. You better, you're burning cash like you wouldn't believe.
Wow.
And it was like, I got a coach. I want to coach. I'm scared to say I'm a coach. Okay, let's just try to work online. And then I was like asking people, what do you do for a living? What do you do for a living? And they're like, I do drop shipping. I do copywriting. Copywriting. I can write the odd sentence here and there. I know a couple big words. And then I went online. I found this thing called Upwork, which is this site where you can, get jobs for copywriting. And I didn't even know what copywriting was.
No, me neither.
It's just writing for people. I thought it was like, you got to be a journalist or something. It's like, for people who don't want to write about something, you write for them. And so I sign up for these jobs and I make this whole profile, and I have not qualified. Like, I have zero, like besides studying English in high school, it was like, that's my background, right?
Yeah.
And so I signed up for these jobs, and the pay was like $5 to $10 an hour.
Wow.
And as working at the gym, I was making between $80 and $150 an hour.
Wow.
And now I'm like, $5 an hour. Okay, so I'm gonna have to do a lot of fucking writing to make this work. Time to start skipping breakfast there, buddy. And so I did it, and I think I made $500 in a month.
Wow.
And it was a milestone because it was like, oh wow, I can make money online.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, this ain't it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was learning about drop shipping, and this is where the whole was like, I was just trying to make money quick, the whole get rich quick thing,
Yep.
which I think so many people get seduced by,
Yep.
particularly in the travel. Like, I want to just travel and make money while I sleep,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of like the tagline. But without it being something you're interested in, I don't think it works. Like, it really is tough,
Mm.
at least for me.
Me too. Me
And
too, man.
I just kind of lying to myself, and that for the copywriting thing was, why am I really doing this? And then I met with a guy who was doing drop shipping, and I was like, I want to drop ship, and I want to, sell fucking brooms from China to like people all over the world. It's like, no, I don't. But I wanted to live in Bali some more. And then the debt was just creeping up, And you know how it is. You can live pretty well here off not a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I was having this meeting with this guy, and he was a good guy. And he said to me, do you really want to do drop shipping? And I was like, no, not at all. It's like, what do you really want to do? And this is where the first time I said it out loud to another person, I was like, I actually want to be a relationship coach. And I was so nervous to say it because it's kind of embarrassed. Like, what came with that was, who do you think you are?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you to be a relationship coach? You're not even in a relationship right now. You've been engaged and then separated. So many people say they're coaches and they don't even have any clients. Like, you're going to be one of them. And then he was like, that's interesting. And so what's keeping you from it? And it was all these fears, actually saying it out loud, and then like getting your first client. I didn't know how. I didn't know how.
Mm-hmm.
But it was more so the fear of how I was going to look,
Mm-hmm.
and the fear of people saying no, or the fear of even just saying, hi, would you like to hop on a phone call with me to learn about relationship coaching? It's like the idea of saying that to another human being was horrifying.
Wow.
And then he said to me, like, do you think you can do it? It's like, yeah, I think I can. I don't really know how, but I think it's what I'm supposed to be doing. He's like, well, do you think it'll work out? And I was like, yeah, I think it will. He said, well, what the hell are you talking about drop shipping for then?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, I think we're done with that conversation. And then that night, I changed my Instagram profile to relationship coach.
Wow.
It was my first step of like acknowledging it. And it was scary.
Uh-huh.
Especially with this coaching world. I mean, it. For the people who are listening, like with coaching, there are some certifications you can take, but you don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
And many coaches don't have a specific coaching certification. So you can just put on your Instagram profile, I'm a relationship coach.
Yep.
Whether or not you're any good at it really depends on the results that we yield in our clients. But that was the whole thing. It's like, I haven't yielded any results.
Mm-hmm.
So shit. But I gotta start somewhere. And I think the problem was too, I didn't know any coaches that were just starting. Or at least I didn't think I did.
Yeah.
So to me, everyone else had to figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, how do you start? Like, hi, I'd like to coach you on these results. Oh, have you had good results with that? No, I've never done it before.
Yeah.
Like, shit, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to be the rookie. I don't want to be the guy who's like totally clueless, but then I did more work and realized it's like, okay, I do know something here, and now let's go test it out. So now I'm living my fucking dream, and it's pretty damn cool.
Dude, that's so awesome to hear, man. I think so often people see people at where they're at, and they don't really get to connect to that part of it. And at least for me, I search for that. That's like the thing I search for in people, is like that part of it, because it shaped you to where you are today. So it's like a really important
I think
part.
there's this whole, sorry, go ahead, say it again.
No, that I think it's a really important part of the story.
Yeah, I think there's this whole disconnect, this idea that we have that whoever's doing something cool started out that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't get at one point we were all crawling.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know how to run. At one point we didn't have a client. At one point we were self-employed. or unemployed, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But we have this idea, you meet someone who's doing something like that you admire, and you're like, they were just born like that.
Yep. They just
And that's
started with all those followers or all that clients.
Yeah. People just asking them to work with them from day one. Like, no, not a chance.
Well, you just said that. It reminded me of like my journey here in Bali, self-unemployed. Like you're trying to, but you're basically unemployed. That's what it feels like. You are trying, but you're not employed by anyone or anything.
Yes. There's a lot of that going on here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm curious to know how you relate to some of these things, because, I think a lot of this journey is similar in that, to be a coach, there's so much facing of our own shit and so much fear.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fear to conquer. I mean, all the time. That's just tell me about your experience with that and the fears you faced and are facing in this world.
Yeah, it's a really great time that I'm in right now, because this is why I like connecting with someone like you, because you're through the other side. So one of the things that I enjoy about all this is like you can understand it logically, right? I can hear from you and I can hear your experiences, and you're where I'm heading towards, but I'm not there yet, right? And so I can sit here and understand that, and I can contemplate that logically, but like there's still emotion in what I'm doing,
Yeah.
And so I'm surrounded, thankfully, by a lot of people that excel in what they do. And I did this kind of strategically to shorten my learning curve. But like, just like you said, I think one thing that just hit me was like, man, I want to be a rookie. And it's like,
want to be a rookie.
I don't want to be a rookie,
I don't want to be a rookie. Yeah, I was going to ask you, what's that like being because it was the same thing question you asked me when I'm at the retreat and like all these super like hot shots, and it's like, oh shit, like it's like sweet, I got a lot to learn, but also I don't want to be the guy in that position.
Yes, exactly. And actually, Simon, I directly am that in my network. In every relationship, I kid you not, in every single relationship, that's me. I'm the rookie in this area. You know what I mean? Like depending.
Career?
Pardon me?
In career?
Yes. Yeah.
So how do you manage that? What's the emotions that come with that for you?
This. I laugh because it's like, for me, I'm like, this is hilarious. Like, what a wonderful situation I get to be in. I get to be around all these people that are excelling in their career and advancing in ways, but I don't feel that they look down on me. They don't look down on me. And that's something that I really appreciate with the people I'm connected to. They're kind of like cheering me on. And this is something that I had to make that decision. And maybe this is a teachable moment for the listeners. It's like, you got to surround yourself with the right people. Even if these people are further along than you, it doesn't matter where they're at and where you're at, because it's not the end of the story. You're just getting started, but you're on your learning curve. But like, if people that are, at least in my experience, people that are genuinely successful what they do, they want other people to win. They enjoy other people to win. So I'm around a lot of people that, like, although they're advanced in where they are, they also like see the potential in me, I guess you could say, or the effort that I'm putting in, or the determination, and admire that. Although am not fully experienced or skilled at it just yet. And that's the key point, right? Just yet. Like, it's just a matter of understanding and experience. And once I have that, then it'll be soon, then I'll give that reciprocity to someone else. So how I navigate this right now is, first I laugh because I'm like, this is hilarious. Like, my pay grade is disgustingly lower than a lot of people I'm surrounded by. And that's why it makes me laugh, because it's just at this moment. But what I've been humbled through this process is like, you can't skip the steps. Like, although I may have this understanding, although I've done all the self-development, although I've come through all these things, I haven't transferred this skill digitally. And I can't skip that step. I have to learn how to transform all of what I understand digitally. And I love what Lewis Howes said. It's like there's so many good people out there. There's so many great people with great services and great products, but if you don't know how to position yourself, you don't know how to productize your knowledge, and you don't know how to create an offer, doesn't matter what you do. You got to understand these fundamentals of the game as well. And so that's what I'm studying right now. And what I realized, something I just learned from one of my marketing mentors, uh, he sent over a podcast to me yesterday, and I started listening to it, and I was like, started looking in, and I started like, I'm starting to like assimilate knowledge together. And I realized a lot of the guys that are good, whether they're professional, let's say athletes, they're like on Instagram or on YouTube, or coaches, or any of these things that we look up to, these guys know how to market themselves. I mean, it's not just one thing, but they really understand how to market themselves. And that was something that really keyed into me to yesterday, that I'm going to start doing and stepping up, is my marketing understanding. Obviously, also you need to also have a really great product or a great service. That comes part and parcel. But if you're not positioned well and you don't know how to get people into your business, then you could have the best souffle in town. But if you're up in the Himalayas, not near anyone, maybe if you had good marketing, you could make it a whole experience and get people up to you and eat your souffle in the Himalayas. But if people don't know who you are yet, then you're kind of just left with your where you are. And that's what I've experienced on my road to understanding this digital game. Is like, I've had this like offer to offer the world, but I just didn't know how to market. I don't know how to tell people about it, and learning even the ways to deliver that. And so in where I'm at in my relationship, in my network, it's like I'm completely at this moment like less developed in that part of myself. But then I think where I add value to my network is the part that I'm developed quite far along, I said humbly, within self, due to all the time I've spent in the sensory deprivation tanks and all the like kind of internal journey I've done on myself. So vibrationally, that's where I match my network, because I think in order to attain certain levels of success, it's not a prerequisite, but you have some sort of development of self to be at the level. What, and it doesn't even matter, even if you're owning like a franchise or something, you have to have some sort of ability to think about life differently than the general population, I think. But I'm open to hearing your thoughts on that and what I just said here.
Yeah, I think you're pointing to a few interesting things. A couple things came to mind when you were sharing, which was this this full wheel, of, I guess you could call it business, this like product marketing, sharing, clientele, all this kind of stuff. And I think a lot of people focus on one part of that wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some people too just focus on the marketing, and they got a product that's shit.
Yes.
Or the vice versa. They got this amazing product, but they haven't talked to a single human being who might want to buy it. And it is this whole encompassing thing. And I've talked about this before. When I was a personal trainer, I'd have a lot of aspiring personal trainers come and talk to me because I figured out of a full clientele, working as a personal trainer and being good at what I was doing. And so there's this like, okay, what did you do? And all these people they loved to make websites and business cards.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love to pick their color scheme and all this shit, work on the name. And I was like, have you asked anybody if they want personal training?
Yeah.
No, but once my website's done, I'll do that. And I tell them, guess what? I don't even have a website or a business card. And I've been doing this for 3 years.
Wow.
Like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I think this is the right way to go. And I'm like, okay, call me when you're broke. And you haven't asked anybody and you're forced to ask people.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. People, it's all a fear of failure.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fear of failure. And it's this, I'm going to pick something else that distracts me from that because it makes me think like I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
But even though it's not forwarding my game whatsoever.
Oh man, dude, you are calling me out in my past right then. Like I am so guilty.
Everyone's done it. That's what, dude, I was fucking copywriting.
Yes.
And learning about drop shipping. I was trying to find every possible excuse not to face my fear.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
It's not easy. I don't think it happens naturally. I don't think people are like, I'm ready to face my fear now. It's like, no, there's this whole, oh shit, I've been lying to myself for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes when it comes. That's why I love coaching is, we put people in the position to be able to do that well and faster. But yeah, that was one thing that came to my mind. The other thing was how, when you were sharing, I was thinking about how when you are the rookie, we all want to be good at stuff. We don't want to be the one who's not good at stuff, And so it makes it tough to learn new things, that mentality. Like, I don't want to go get guitar lessons and suck.
Yeah.
I'd like to be a great guitar player. I don't want to change careers and be literally the last one in the whole building in terms of experience. I want to be the senior vice president,
Yeah.
And it's a humbling thing. I think when our identity is wrapped up in it, that's when it's hard. And what I mean by that is like, as if you are your skills.
Ooh.
I used to have people say when I was, finishing basketball, they're like, what are you going to be without being the basketball player?
Wow.
And to them, my whole identity was wrapped up in that I'm a basketball player.
Sure.
And I was like, I'm actually a lot more than that. That's just a small part of my thing. I thought it was such a funny thing, but I could see how easily we have our identity wrapped up in, I'm the manager of the company. I'm the basketball player. I'm the sales rep. I'm the doctor. Heaven forbid I want to write a book. Who do you think you are? That's not who you are. We get our whole identity wrapped up in that, so that you can almost like can't learn a new skill, especially if you get really good at stuff. It makes it that much harder to be. Let's say I'm really good at writing, and now I want to be like an athlete or something, and it's like I don't know. I don't know how to be bad at something, so I just avoid those things altogether. I don't give myself a opportunity. Versus like, that's just a different part of my life, and it doesn't mean anything about me. But that's a tough one to distinguish, I think, for people, which is what happens for me at the beginning when you first started hearing no. Would you like to work with me? No. Ooh, ouch. I think I just got rejected. I think maybe I suck. I think maybe people don't like me. I think maybe people don't like me and I'm going to be broke. And then people really aren't going to like me. I'm going to be all alone. So when we hear that no, it's not just a no. It's all that other shit piled on top. And that's the thing that is the scary, heavy part that we try to avoid. But I don't say push through that. Most people are like, yeah, that's just part of the deal. No, it's not. We have to distinguish that that's not real. There's actually a separation, that isn't the reality. It occurs like it's the reality. And that's really what all my coaching is about. It's like actually separating. That's not what's happening. When someone says no, it doesn't mean you're going to be alone forever and have no friends. But we have to actually discover that. Because like you said earlier, it makes sense logically. Just like telling 100 people about your business means some people will sign up and you might have a living. Logically, somehow my hands get paralyzed when I reach for the phone to go do that. Because there's the emotional side. That's really the work, I think. And that's what I mean about the whole like coaching journey of like facing fears. And that's the ironic thing about that is it makes us better coaches. If we were to skip that part, we would be shit coaches anyway.
So true, hey?
We got to go through all the stuff, all the fears that our clients are dealing with, we've had to go through. Otherwise, what good are we to them anyway? And I know I wanted to skip a lot of those steps. Just give me the how to. Just let me succeed. I don't want to go through the personal judgment. You know?
Man, I like it's so cool because I get to part of what's enjoyable about being, I guess, developed in myself and then starting this as opposed to doing it kind of hand in hand is that like I really get to study myself in this and really get to see all this come up. It's like even though I've meditated whatever amount of time, I've become this whatever, it's like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's still all there. And it's like really nice for the ego. I mean, like you can tell by my framing, I've really changed it. I really like I'm like, wow, like look at all this come in from doing the post that I did yesterday. I was like, this is incredible. Like look at all this just coming in literally from all angles, all these thoughts and feelings and sensations. It was like I thought like and when we talk about identity, I think this is a beautiful place to be like malleable in your identity, right? Because like if I got caught in the identity of like, well, no, I'm like Mr. Meditator guy or something, and then I got all this stuff coming, but that's I'm supposed to be unaffected by this. And this is where I think there's a power in vulnerability, is like just being what you are, you know, because like sometimes I get categorized as like kind of like I don't really count, like, oh, you're just different. And it's like, no, I'm not. I'm exactly the same. I'm a human being too. I got the same things. I'm feeling all these sensations. This is incredible. It's just how I choose to respond to it. And
We're all so much more similar than we are different.
yeah. And you can use that as fuel. You use it as fuel. It's like and like you talk to someone like you. That's the other thing too. I think there's a huge power in talking to someone that's gone through something similar, especially if that's on the other side, because then you like, I was told about all this. Like this is not a surprise. Like you've mentioned your journey quite often to me, and it's deeply helped me through some of this navigation. So I'm not surprised. I'm like, okay, here it is. Oh, it's intense. Just because like you're told the fire's hot, don't go near it. But okay, great, you're told that. You go near the fire, it's still hot, you know? So that's what I'm
Right.
feeling, you know? I'm still feeling all the sensations through this.
Yeah. There's a real chemical response. I saw this great TikTok the other day. It was talking about, fears, and the woman articulated like it's like standing on the 15-meter diving board.
Mm.
And from the bottom, it doesn't look that high. And then you go stand on the top and it looks like 45 meters. And she talked about how there's a chemical response to that. Even though you just saw that it wasn't that high, doesn't change the fact that you're standing up there and you're like, oh my God. Even if you've seen somebody do it successfully over and over again, there's still this, oh shit. And then she talked about the importance of the gradualness of that. Like, don't jump off the 15-footer right now. Do the 5, do the 7, do the 10, build the confidence.
Yep.
And that's my whole mindset around like 1% a day, improving 1% a day. It's like, don't worry about hitting any home runs right now. Ever, really, actually, ever. I won't even say right now, ever. Because it's the gradual steps that actually allow us to keep moving forward. If we're like every time we got to conquer a fear, it's like a 15-meter diving board, we're not going to do it.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's too tough. And there's something, for some reason, we don't have this compassion for ourselves. Like, oh, I should just be good enough and I should just do it. I should just jump. No, you're a person. It's okay. It's okay to be horrified.
Yeah.
And I think those are the people who are like, I want to be fearless. I'm fearless. I don't believe in fearlessness for 2 seconds. That's called being on drugs. You're drunk.
Well, I think those people actually have a chemical thing in their brain that's actually they can't the response.
Well, yeah, it's some sort of lie to yourself or chemical imbalance. It's like fear is part of a signal telling you to be careful, to watch out. And it's good for survival. The hard part with being a human is recognizing when it's for survival and when it's actually like the thing we're afraid of isn't there.
Amazing. So let's unpack this part, because I think that there's a key point that someone can definitely take some insights from this, and I'd be curious myself to hear your process. So we talk about, and you talked about the identity and the importance of like separating that identity, and you are not your skills. That really hit me just then. You are not your skills. You're not this. You know, you're so much more. Um, but how does someone shift that identity? Say someone's listening here and they're watching this and they see you or they see me, where, oh, you guys are in Bali, like you're traveling or you're living the life that I want to live too, but there's got to be some sort of shift. This is something that I realized last year, was the shift of identity and how important it is to shift your identity. What is your strategy, or what's the route you take to shifting your identity?
I think a lot of it comes with how we speak language. You know, I think a lot of people aren't paying attention to how they speak about themselves. You know, I was at a coaching call an hour before this, and one of my clients she said, I'm an extremist. And she meant that in the sense that like she can be extremely anxious and extremely excited, like polarizing.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no, you're not an extremist. Get responsible for how you're talking. You've been extreme.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you took an action that was extreme, or you had a thought that was extreme, but that's not who you are. That's something that happened, but we don't talk like that.
Wow.
Even to the point where like, I'm organized. So does that mean you're always organized? There's never once you haven't been organized? Or is there things that are organized in your life and things that aren't?
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is the whole, like, we are creating ourselves. Actually, when we speak, we are creating ourselves.
Ooh.
I'm terrible on the phone. Are you terrible on the phone, or did you just have a bad phone call? Those don't mean the same thing. But we talk like that. I'm no good. I'm not smart. Bullshit. Another call yesterday. This woman, she's so powerful. She's such a powerful leader. And she's struggling with this idea that she's not a leader, or doesn't have the qualities to be the kind of leader she wants to be. And we really worked through it for like a good 40 minutes of like what was really there for her. She saw how inauthentic that was, to pretend that she's not a great leader. Like, it's this kind of let myself off the hook thing. If I get to say I'm not a great leader, I'm then justified for not taking actions towards leadership. But we don't see it like that. We just write ourselves off like, I don't have what it takes. Bullshit. You haven't looked. That's total crock of shit. You do. Maybe you're just scared about how to do it. And that's what she got to. She was like, when I really accept that I'm a great leader, the next thought that pops into my head was, holy shit, there's a lot of problems out there that need solving. And I don't know how to tackle all that. And now I'm overwhelmed. It's like, okay, fine. Can we find this space in between those two thoughts? I'm a great leader. What's the next logical step? Not, I'm a great leader. Now I have to transform all the world's problems. If you go that way, it's like, well, Jesus, leave me alone. Screw it. Never mind. I don't think I have what it takes.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, the first step is in our language. I mean, people don't, you got to start paying attention how you talk. You know, and I've said this, I almost think I beat it to it like a dead horse. So I haven't said it a lot lately, but there are certain words I do not use. I do not use the word can't. It is not in my vocabulary. I do not use the word busy. That is not in my vocabulary. Those things to me do not exist. They are a context that we create, something we sentence ourselves to. And if you notice, the people who are always busy just get more busy and more stressed. So the people who say they can't keep not doing anything new. Now, a lot of people think that's because their qualities and who they are. I think it's because how they speak perpetuates that mentality. So me, it's all in the language, and it doesn't hurt to get coaching too.
Wow. I mean, Maya Angelou, it says words are things.
Yes, I love Maya Angelou.
And
I love her so much.
She like she says words are like they can get into the walls. They get into the counters. So you want to be
Right. Like
very,
they're
very,
physical,
yes,
like gets on you. They
yes,
get all over, like when you spill a drink on you, it's on you.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And they really shape who you are. That is something that I've definitely been mindful of. And even like it's it's really incredible. Like I'm really like you know something. I'm not. Do you know who Brene Brown is?
One of my favorites. I think
Okay.
Brene Brown is out of all the people that I look up to, Brene Brown has most of what I admire. Like
Mm-hmm.
she's got like the most well-rounded version of what I want to be like.
Yeah, she is so great. And she created this thing, and you know the thing that she creates with her kids in the house, like pretty much similar to what you're talking about. Can't, it's not in their vocabulary, but like to the point where I have to rewrite my humor now. I actually am in the process of rewriting my humor because um I've developed this humor where I can like make jokes out of certain social situations, but they come at a degradation. And when I watched Brene Brown, it like touches me, man. This like touches me. It's like when I watched the documentary on Netflix of Brene Brown, and she said like with her kids, like she doesn't even tolerate it at all. Because what I started to realize, there's a one moment with my girlfriend at some moments in some social situations, just me and her, I'd never do it in front of other people, but like I would just make this humorous joke that are jokes that I used to be making. But she's at such a beautiful stage of her evolution that I don't want to program that any degradation in her at all. And so
It's kind
what
of
I
like a bit of
started,
a dig, like cutting her down a bit.
well, yeah, but like completely harmless, right? Like, well, to what I thought, right? Completely harmless. There's just like I don't know what it is. It's not even a cut because I don't have that in me to cut humans down, especially anymore. But like I can't quite put a finger on it. But I hear the jokes now in my head and I don't let them out anymore because of I don't want to put words. I don't want to support. I'm a man of human empowerment. So if I'm here saying a joke that may be like fake, but it's just a joke. It's like, well, wait, like what happens when that human walks away and takes that in themselves? Now, was that a joke? Was that
And
funny? It's
people
like,
hide behind that too all the time. They're like, I was just joking.
sure,
When
sure,
it does scar somebody. That was
sure.
like my whole fucking childhood was like this, these being the mercy of people's jokes. And then they go, oh, it's just a joke. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna go home crying now.
Yeah, was that a joke? It's like, damn, that hurt.
Joke to you. That's the thing. I actually really believe there are kind of different kinds of humor, and I love comedians. Like I'm all for humor. Like let's go, let's laugh about everything. My intention of this call is that we could have fun.
Mm-hmm.
But like, can we do it without it being at the cost of another person? Because to me, that's the lowest level of comedy.
Mm-hmm.
That's not difficult to do. To make fun of someone else in a way that everyone else gets to laugh. Like to me, real comedy, like real humor, is like, can you do it without it being at the mercy of another individual?
Mm-hmm.
That takes skill.
Mm-hmm.
But all of us do it, right? All of us shooting a little nudge there and poking that guy and this kind of stuff. No, it's just a joke, and maybe it works in certain circles. But I think that's cool that you're getting like aware of, what at what level can you do that at? What is it? Does it really match who you want to be?
You know what's interesting, Simon? I was a, I'm a, if you put me in an hour next to each other and you see the interaction with my girlfriend, so I'm spending about 35 minutes to whatever. We're talking about what she's going through. We're talking about how she's feeling, what she's processing, all this stuff. And it's just like pumping just good emotions, good value, talking about how to grow and all this stuff. But then there'll be this like other interaction just slightly after, and it's this joke that I make that it's harmless because like I say, I'm programmed to think it's harmless actually. And then I just go through this whole time of talking to her, and then I realized I just said this thing. And then what I started to do is I asked her, I'm like, wait, are you like taking that in? And then because I have social acuity, I see her facial reaction, and that's when it hit me. I was like, these aren't harmless anymore. So here I am
Yeah.
spending all this time talking about how you can be what you want, be mindful of your thoughts, your mind's incredible, all this stuff. And then here I become this guy that's also implanting like a negative belief in her. And I was like, I'm a contradiction. I gotta nip this. This is no longer
Nice.
going to be part of my repertoire. Like,
Nice.
That's
great. I love that. And it doesn't mean you got to somehow be this like strict, like tight guy now.
No.
But you're getting aware of those things, and she might not tell you and other people might not tell you, and that's where we get curious about like how we show up. I mean, my former partner, she used to joke about my hair, and I'm like totally insecure about my hair. And because I got this receding hairline, like, and it's coming, and she joke about it and it's just a joke. But at the same time, I was like, do we have to joke about my most insecure thing?
Yeah.
Is there another way to do this that is, because when she compliments me, it felt amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But then every time the other thing happened, it would make the compliment just evaporate.
Of course.
And it was like, and this to me was the whole like, let's have fun. If that's the only way to do it, I don't think we're trying that hard.
So true. So true.
Yeah.
Do you know Tom Bayou from Impact Theory?
I haven't watched a lot of his stuff, but I've seen him, yeah.
I would invite you to look him up. He is one of my idols for a model of a relationship. Cool. I just sent actually, here, I'll bring this up right now. I think this could be cool. He did a post on this and it's 5 questions you should ask if you're in a relationship. I sent it to my girlfriend, but he is so good with his wife. And that's something they said that's just you never use someone's insecurities against them no matter what. It's non-negotiable. And it's something that, yeah, because it's just like, that's just not something that's never going to support our relationships, but like also we got to give space to where people are at, like these things again, like I'm just constantly thinking, how can I like improve my actions? But here it says 5 risky questions you must ask your partner. Number 1, risky, but you must ask. What's one quality you think holds me back?
Holds me back. Okay, yeah.
What does your ideal sex life look like?
Love it.
What's something I do that you'll just never understand?
That's an interesting one. That could start some interesting dialogue.
Yeah. Where do you actually see our relationship in 5 years?
Love it.
That's a good question. And what did I used to do for you, but I don't do now that you wish I did?
Those are so good.
Yeah, really good questions. I mean, these kind of conversations really help, I think, in the relationship.
And sometimes we can't find the words, right? This is why we're talking about language. Language is so important, but like, I don't know what to ask. I know I want to get more connected to my partner, but I'm not sure what to do or say. And it's like, oh, things like this, they give you the language.
Mm-hmm. It's like a communication railway almost to go down. It gives you the framework to go down this conversation train that like that opens the door for us essentially. Yeah. And I think these types of, this is where it's like really powerful to open up these conversations with your significant other. Like really helps that connection. So yeah, he's someone I really admire. I think, I don't know how deep we've talked about it, but like I come from womanizing world where my self-worth, like my self-worth is like how many women I've been with. Like that.
Yeah, can I get a for any guys out there that?
Yeah.
How many times I put my self-worth in whether or not I was, hooking up with someone or getting some sort of physical affection or verbal affirmation. That means I'm winning.
Yeah. It's tough too, right? Because it is part of our culture too, right? Like you look at, I don't know if there's a rap video without a bunch of girls in it, Like I
No,
remember.
and how we talk about it too as men. I was really lucky growing up. My buddies, like, we didn't really talk about like, who'd you sleep with and how was it and all that kind of shit. Like, it's their only mode of conversation. But when I meet new people, it's really common with men. That's like the
Mhm,
topic,
mhm,
about just women and how to get women and any women you have right now. And it's like, to me, it's very boring. It's a very boring conversation, but it's also so ingrained in men that
mhm,
it can be very difficult to not have your self-worth tied up in that, given that it's the thing that you're like exchanging with each other.
mhm. And like it does actually, like in our animal kingdom, right? Like you look at like the alpha male, they're the one that gets the woman, right? Like the harem, like the walrus gets the harem of women, or the monkey, the baboon,
Yeah.
so it is in our nature, women do attract to the alpha male. But like I think for me, my psychology is changing. I'm consciously doing it. I talk deeply to Molly about like all of this, what's going on in me within my programming, and what I like I went to Las Vegas to pursue this. You know what I mean? To pursue this part of myself. But thankfully, I pursued it really fast and went really quickly through it, to actually to my own demise, and it hurt me deeply. But then to come through the other side and realize that's not where your worth comes in. That's not where it
How did
doesn't.
you, I'm curious, how did you discover that? Like, where did you go from womanizer to desire for connection and committed relationship? Like, how does that happen for you?
Well, I think it's like kind of like a slower, like slow process over time. Like, so at first you pursue women, and then you come from like, for myself, I couldn't get a girl. Like I and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I'm getting girls, but like it's not the girl I want. And then I start pursuing that, and then it's like, okay, now I'm getting closer, but I'm not attracting the woman that of my dreams or in my heart space. And so pursuing this, and I'm an internal seeker, like I really seek the internal experience. So being so conscious of my actions time and time again, when you're pursuing a material pleasure that doesn't give back to you over time, it's like a slow drip. It just drains you. For me personally, I don't know for other people, but for me, it was like just slowly draining. So all the work that I was doing to take care of myself, eating healthy, exercising, meditating, would then just go transfer in this one night stand, basically, and then just drain me. And so doing that repetitively over and over again, getting drained to the point where like I felt that I was in like a constant like acid hangover, like constant. My brain was just so wired, but like I was just frenetic. It was like I was drinking 20 cups of coffee a day or something, pursuing this part of myself. And so you kind of you grind the pistons with no oil in it anymore, and it just is pure mechanical. It's raw. And so the insides of myself were just raw. And so I could keep going down it, but when you meditate as much as I did well in the spirit experience, you're constantly reflected on your actions. So it's like I'm consciously knowing every technique that I'm doing, every manipulation that I'm doing. I'm just so aware of all my actions, and I'm just like okay with it at that moment. But at some point, if you're in the internal journey as I am, you're gonna you can't sustain it in the heart space. At least I couldn't. And then so doing deep reflections and like trying to clear myself, but then going to the places like yoga rooms and this, using the techniques I learned, and not they don't work on those type of girls because they're in a different vibration. And so it's beyond technique now. Now the techniques have a foundation, and there's validation to it, right? Like learning to read signals, I think, is really important. That's something I learned in Vegas. Learning to read signals from a woman, what she means, what she's saying without actually saying words, and that helped me deeply. But then all the other stuff to try to get into her pants is just like I know where that goes. I lived that so many times over and over again. So then the heart is just seeking more. And so I said to myself, okay, I'm not going to attract the woman of my dreams unless I become who I have to become. And so I remember listening to a podcast with Rob Dyrdek, and he said the same thing. He was known as like in LA to be like LA's like guy that's always out and about, single. He's almost 40, whatever. And he said, in order to get the girl that you want, you have to become the guy. And so that really sunk with me. And so I started actively pursuing being the guy I got to be in order to attract the woman I want. And that was the whole journey. And then that took like 11 months from when I consciously decided to actively become the guy that I want to be, to attract the woman I want. And yeah, it was it was worth all the work, you know. It was really worth all the work.
It's a wild thing. I think I watched this pickup artist talking the other day, and he was talking about how it was working where he's like picking up women, but he started to question, was the women coming with him because they liked him or because they liked the lines? And he started to realize like none of these women actually like him.
Dude, I can vouch for that.
That's a sad, I mean, it's a beautiful and sad realization at the same time. It's like, okay, good, time for me to be me, but also like, oh shit, like this is so surface level. There is not even connection here.
Dude, it would kill me. I can remember as soon as I was be a dickhead and an asshole, the girls would come in. Then it would kill my heart space. So then I'd be like, okay, you know, I'm done. I'm gonna come back to my heart. Boom, crickets, man. It was
That's
so
the thing
weird.
too. Ladies out there, you know, we know you want a masculine man. We know you want a strong man, but also the reason, as long as you keep putting up with bullshit, it's going to reaffirm men to continue to be assholes. It's a kind of a team effort here. And I would say the same thing to men, like, stop playing cards. Stop stringing their hearts around, you know, and vice versa women. The only reason why they do is because you let them. You know, so it's this whole, because I went through the same thing. I mean, I was in the friend zone my entire high school thing, and I couldn't kiss a woman. Without the game Truth or Dare. That was my only chance. Even then, I was so nervous, I just slide out of the room. And then in university, it was like a whole year. I was a virgin up until I was second year university.
Oh wow, okay.
I was so nervous. It was such a monkey on my back that I was like, I was Mr. Nice Guy. You know, and then I haven't shared this too much online, but finally I got the monkey off my back in the first day of the second year of university. I was like, I'm done being a virgin. I'm going to find whoever I can find, and I'm going to get this thing off my back. And then finally I got it off my back, and then I became a bit of an asshole. You know? And guess what? It worked. Ladies, why did it work? It worked. It's because you let it work. And it was reaffirmed that I should keep going down this direction, and that being nice was a terrible idea. And this is where the thing is, there's some middle ground.
Yes.
I actually don't think anyone should be Mr. Nice Guy. I think it's a bad idea. Don't be Mr. Nice Guy. Using Mr. Nice Guy as a compensation for being scared to actually take a stand for something. You know, that's just playing small. But it also doesn't mean we got to be assholes. Can we be powerful without being a pushover? Can we be powerful without being a prick? And I certainly think we can, but it is an art.
Yes. And so I think that that definitely helps, being in that place where, I mean, like, I don't know the term that I am now, but I know the term that I realized is like, you got to be in the middle ground I found was like a nice asshole, but like I don't think you need to be that either. But that's was
No,
like
no,
that was
yeah,
what was able for me to stay in my morals, if that makes sense.
yeah,
That's what
that's the
allowed
only
me
thing.
to be there.
Yeah, because it's this kind of like I mean, it's an art, the masculine, feminine, finding that balance. Like I was just being nice because I was scared to upset anyone.
Yes.
But
Yes.
that was I wasn't open enough and honest enough with myself to actually see it like that. I'm so nice. You should just like me because I'm so nice. But the truth is, I'm actually just really scared to say no to what's going on here, or I'm really scared to rock the boat. What's the easier thing to do? I'm just a nice person. Why doesn't anybody like
Hmm.
me? Bullshit. Bullshit. For those of you guys listening out there who think you're like super nice, you probably are. That's great. But also notice where you're totally using it as an excuse to actually take a stand for something. And
Hmm.
then the vice versa. I don't care about anyone. F you and what you think. Whatever. You like me, you don't like me. I don't give a shit. My heart's so wrapped up and locked up, you don't even get to know me anyway. That's the other side.
Hmm.
That's the like, yeah, whatever. She wants to hang out. She doesn't. I don't care. It's like, yeah, you're not taking any risks either, buddy. That's just this whole I'm pretending to not care so I don't have to deal with I'm scared shitless. What if the middle ground was I like you and I'm really fucking scared to tell you that? You don't like me back? All right, thanks for letting me know. Moving on.
Hmm. Yeah, that was the shift that helped me big time.
Not saying it's easy, but it's real.
Beat to your own drum, you know?
Yeah. I mean, to a couple 3 years ago, I was, I was easily, I think, seduced by beauty. And you like, oh wow, she's gorgeous. And I start to put up with shit that doesn't work for me because she's so gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
It's like she can get away with something. What's the saying? They say, beautiful woman gets away with murder.
Mm.
You know, and sometimes these beautiful women, like get away with murder around me. And then I remember this time, like this woman, she was, gorgeous. Like years prior would have been the kind of woman I would have thought I never could be with. You know, and that's a whole other context of a lie that we tell ourselves too, by the way.
Hmm.
But there came a point where her and I were dating, and I was like, I didn't feel the reciprocal attraction. I felt like I liked her more than she liked me. Did I want to admit that? Fuck no.
Mm.
Did I want to sit in that feeling? Hell no. I wanted to just put up with it. Don't mess this up, man. She's super hot. Don't mess this up. She's super hot. And I was like, dude, how fucking small are you? Like, don't be such a wimp. Like, you want to be with someone who likes you back, who doesn't matter how fucking hot she is, And then I had a conversation. It was taking a while to build up, but I was like, I'm not really feeling the same vibe. And I'm kind of interested in pursuing things with you, but I want to know where you're at. Does it feel mutual? Because from my perspective, it doesn't really feel like you're into me the same way I'm into you. And I think it took her a lot of courage to admit that. She was like, yeah, I like you, but I don't think it's to the level that would be a match for whatever the next step is. And I was like, okay, great. Thanks for letting me know. I think we should end this thing then.
Hmm.
And it's funny. This is the first thing about the asshole thing. And then she was like, so does that mean you're going to like go meet someone else? Like instantly she started to get a little jealous. And I was
Wow.
like, lady, don't do that shit. Don't do that shit.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, yeah, I am. And then that was the end of it. But
Awesome.
I got to be proud of myself. I was standing up for what mattered to me. We don't do that though. We got to quit selling out on ourselves because she's hot or he's rich or
Mm.
they're nice.
Mm.
We got to get sick of that, like almost disgusted by it. Because it's not fulfilling. It's so hollow.
Mm.
It's so empty. I did a video about this yesterday. It was like, who gives a shit what you do for a living or what relationship you're in or not in? Is it the one that you want?
Mm.
And like with this woman, of course, every guy would have been like, dude, are you crazy? Like,
Mhm.
keep your mouth shut. Just enjoy what you got while you got it. And it's like, yeah, that's the superficial thing to do. But I want the whole package, man.
Yeah. Yep.
And the only people who get the whole package are the ones who stand for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm so glad to this day, even though she was super, super beautiful. And it's like, this is this crazy world we live in, how much we decide to do things because of what we think is I don't know, the right way, the cool way, the way that makes you impress others. Fuck, I wish we could, if that was a medicine I could make. Well, to be honest, I think you and I are making this medicine right now. Coaching is the medicine of the killer of a life that caring what other people think is.
Oh.
It's a fulfillment killer. It is like being alive. When I say life, I mean like feeling alive, feeling invigorated.
Mm-hmm.
This caring of what other people think is the fucking murderer of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so true.
That's the game.
So
When you
powerful.
can't be stopped by a no, when we can't be stopped by a no, I don't want to go out with you, or no, I don't want to sign up for your coaching. We are fucking invincible.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
You can't lose.
Mm-hmm. That's some serious power under there.
Doesn't mean it doesn't hit us though. Doesn't mean we don't have feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wish you would like me, or oh man, it's too bad. I really was hoping that person would sign up. But that's what happened. And can I deal with this emotion? Because if I can deal with that emotion, woo.
It's a muscle too. Like I really had to learn that in Vegas. I really had to learn. But it's crazy when you can supersede that. It is just a beautiful thing to supersede.
Oh, races. You are like momentum is just let's go.
Oh my man. Oh yeah. Okay, so just
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
That's what's funny too, when people think that they need to do some new action or they don't know enough, and that's what's keeping them from the amazing results in their life. Often it's actually some relationship to something.
Mm.
Like a relationship to hearing the word no, a relationship to money. It's like, oh, I just need to work harder. No, I don't think that's it, actually.
Right.
There's something else.
Yeah, because like if you're working harder in the wrong direction, it doesn't matter how much effort you put in it. You're going the wrong
like
way.
in relationships, right? Oh, I just need to work hard on my relationship. Or maybe you need to have that one conversation you've been avoiding for the last 3 years.
No kidding. No
and
kidding.
That'll change the whole thing. Fuck working harder. Just that one conversation.
It's really powerful.
Suddenly you're in a whole new relationship.
So
it's
incredible.
The same with coaching. When people are like personal training and they're like, I want to start my own business and I want to build my website. And I'm like, how about you go ask one person this week if they would like to do some free training in exchange for a testimonial. And they do that one thing and all of a sudden, oh, they're off to the races. Oh my gosh, you know what? They signed up. They wanted to work with me. I think I could have a career in this. Wow, my whole life just changed before my eyes. I was going to spend 12 hours working on a website.
Yeah,
that no one visits.
No kidding. No.
It's all caring what people think. That's the heart of it all. I think that's the heart of it all.
It's so powerful. Well, Simon, we're coming to the end of this conversation. I appreciate you, my brother. Just before we go, I like to always end in this round. It's I call it like a speed round where I just ask a couple questions, and it's like, yeah, you just kind of let's go through it. So what is your favorite app on your phone?
Instagram.
Okay, and then beyond the like generics, what's the runner-up?
iTunes, Apple Music.
Okay, keep going.
Do
you have like
Duolingo?
Okay, perfect. Duolingo.
Or chess.
Or chess. Okay. What name is it of the app? Or is it just chess?
The name is Duolingo. Chess is chess.com.
Chess.com. Okay. Yeah. And what's your most gifted book?
most gifted, like that I've given to people.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Ooh, that's a
That's
good
my,
book.
yeah.
What's your best purchase under $100?
Under $100. Oh, I gotta think about that for a sec. I feel like I just bought something under $100 that I really loved. Come back to me on that one, because I feel like they gotta, yeah, come back to me on that one.
Okay, what's your recent habit that you've just changed in the last 6 months that's really helped you?
Habits. Have I changed any specific habits? I don't know, man. I feel like my habits have been pretty consistent. Has anything specific changed? I'm sorry, I'm not doing a very rapid fire job of answering.
That's all good, brother.
I don't, maybe taking long walks. That's something
Okay.
I've been doing. Love just like taking long, kind of like meaningless walks, like just like, because I can be a little bit productive obsessed
Mm-hmm.
and just go for a long walk and like, who cares how long it takes, kind of thing.
That's cool.
But yeah,
I think that's very powerful, that habit. That's a really good one. I do that
yeah,
quite
just
often.
sometimes I'm just we thinking too much. It's like I'm just gonna go for a walk, take the dogs for a long walk. Yeah.
If you could have a billboard in Times Square and it could say a quote or like a sentence, and it could be a message that you could get in front of like millions of people that walk through it every day, what would you put on that billboard?
If not me, who? And if not now, when?
If not me, who? If not now, when? I like it. That's really good.
Most people think it should be someone else's job and it'll happen later.
Hmm.
But if you take on everything in life, like I'm the one, and now's the time. Yeah.
And for you listeners, I actually have only known Simon with this confidence, but by the sounds of this conversation, it didn't always start out this way.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
So Simon, I really appreciate you taking the time and having this chat today. It's been great. Hopefully we can connect. How, from my audience, how can people find out more about what you do?
Instagram is the best way to check out what I'm up to and to connect to. Simon.Nicolaas with 2 A's at the end. I'm sure you'll spell it on your thing there, but
I will.
yeah. And vice versa. How about you? I want to hear, please share with my group, because to me, you're coaching a very important thing, you know, and I want you to get to share with that, because I think, you know, although you call yourself a rookie, you know, you've got something here that to me is so valuable, you know, in the work that you're committed to doing for men.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love to hear, just share a little bit about what you're excited about with that.
Yeah, it's kind of blossoming right now. But if you want to come on over to visit me, Mindset Matt, but it's Mindset period Matt. And the work that I'm getting into is getting into like how unlocking past traumas and self-sabotage. That's one that I think is a really big one that I help people through. And then unlocking that unlimited leash to live that ultimate lifestyle, to basically become a internal millionaire. I think we're so focused on the external millionaire goals, focusing to become an internal millionaire. So that's something that I say quite often is that, yeah, like, great, you can become externally rich, but if you're not internally rich, it doesn't matter where you are, really. It all doesn't really matter. If you're not feeling good, then what's it all for?
Become an internal millionaire with Matt.
Yes.
That might be a tagline right there, my friend. Become an internal millionaire with Matt. Fuck yeah, man. I mean, Matt, like, you've been through some stuff, you know, and you got a lot to offer. And, you know, we didn't really get touch on this, but just to share with the audience a little bit here, you know, Matt's done everything from pickup artist to celibacy to owning his own business to having connected relationships to moving around the world. And the combination of those experiences, you faced a lot of things. And I think there's a huge gap with men. That's why I'm excited to be having this conversation. Men, I want us to reach out like that. It's okay to get support, you know, because this isn't common right now. Right now, most men do not reach out and connect and have their community and get coaching. Particularly, most of my clients are women, you know, and these women are going to get way ahead of us here, guys.
Yeah.
They're going to be looking for some conscious men here, and there's not, those conscious men are going to have a lot of choices.
Yes.
And you're not, if you don't start leaning into this thing. So we're here to support, you know, and there's no ego in that. I think that's something to be reminded in. There's no ego in getting support. And I've got a coach, and I don't know anybody who does it by himself. So
yeah. And think back to like tribal times. This was the way men interacted with each other. You know, we were a tribe. That's where the word comes from. You know, so I think that there's only power in supporting each other, and we don't need to do it by bringing each other down. We, you know, as one grows, we all grow. You know, we go higher together.
I love your internal millionaire thing. You're onto something there. That's great. Have you seen that short clip? It was just, we'll just leave it here, but with Bob Marley, that someone says to him, "Have you got a lot of riches?" And Bob says, "Riches? What you mean by riches?" He says, "You know, lots of money and cars." "Oh, rich in money." No, I give all my money away, but I'm rich. I'm rich in here. He gets it. I mean, Bob Marley is like talk about someone who changed the world. Like,
sure.
There's something that he just clicks, you know? I think you and I even said this too about Jim Carrey one. He's like, I wish everyone could be famous and rich to realize it's not all it's cracked up to be. You know, you don't actually want it. You want that. You want to be an internal millionaire. And that to me is the real game. And which is funny too. If you play that game, being an extra millionaire is a cakewalk.
Yeah. Well,
if you want that, you can still have that.
Still got it.
You know?
Still heading towards it. I'm gonna be an internal external millionaire.
That's right. I plan on being both. Hell
internal,
yeah.
External. That's why I say to them all the time. Hey, let's live the ultimate life. You know, how good does it feel to have so much money, but also to be feeling so good, be such a great person, break all the paradigms that rich people are bad, rich people don't do this, just blow that all out, unwrap it all, and just like ultimate life, spiritual, feeling good, rich, luxury, good to people. Just is all of it. It's just ultimate. Just go for it all. You don't need one or the other. You know, you can have it all.
Hell yeah, you can have it all. Hell yeah, and you're starting in here.
Yeah.
You know, you're starting the inside outward, and I think that's the game to play. So check out Matt. I want to learn more about him, and excited to share this with our people and see what feedback we get.
All right, guys. So thank you so much. Thank you, Simon. Appreciate doing this, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in.
Nice. Vision manifested.
Yeah, buddy.